Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, and an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. And today I have for you a triple rectangle card. This is a very simple card layout that you can use for any occasion. And if you can cut rectangles of paper and cardstock with a paper trimmer, you are in business. So we will go ahead and get started. What you need first is a cardstock base. So a piece of cardstock, this happens to be Mossy Meadow, and it is 8.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. And you're going to score it at 4 1/4 on the 8.5 inch side. And then go ahead and fold it in half, and then you have your card base. Next, you'll need a second piece of cardstock in a coordinating color, and this is Bumblebee. This is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm going to go ahead and use my Stampin' Seal Plus and glue this to the front of the card. My adhesive is being a little persnickety today, but that's okay. So go ahead and just layer that on the front of the card. Next, you will need 3 rectangles of cardstock, again in a coordinating color. These are 3 3/4 inches long by 1 1/2 inch tall. And then you'll need 3 pieces of Designer Series paper, printed paper, that is 3 1/2 inches wide by 1 1/4 inch tall. And we're just going to glue these together. Now this Designer Series paper that I'm using is coming from our new catalog, which debuts in 1 week. If you would like a copy, if you don't have a demonstrator that you are currently working with, I would be happy to send you one. So just send me a message, get in touch. You can comment here on this YouTube page, or you can hop over to Facebook and find me at The Faithful Stamper. So I am just going to layer these together. It is a full moon tonight and a Monday, and my adhesive is just not behaving itself. Hopefully your adhesive laying is going better than mine. So one more piece. And then, there we go. We will be ready to put these on the front of the card. Now, depending on how brave I feel, I'll just eyeball this. But what I do is put my pieces on the front of the card so I can judge my spacing. Sometimes what I'll do is glue the top one and then the bottom one, and then position the middle one so I can see how much space I have. So here we go, one more run with my persnickety adhesive. And so just layer these on the front of the card. Obviously you can use your cardstock to pull in the colors from your Designer Series paper. And then just line them up. And here we go, one more for the bottom. And then we're going to work on our sentiment. So I have a piece of Old Olive. This is actually the same color as these rectangular pieces of cardstock. I forgot to mention that. Excuse me. And I have the Best Year stamp set. This is one of my favorite stamp sets for verbiage because it's got a lot of great sentiments. It has a thank you, hip hip hooray, which is great for graduation cards. You can pair that with the you did it. Father's Day, birthday. It's even got a Christmas sentiment. So lots of great options for you. And tonight I am going to use Mossy Meadow ink and the Happy Birthday to You. And these are red rubber stamps, so I don't need a cushion because it's built in there on the block with the foam on the back of the stamp. So tap, tap, tap in your ink pad, no CPR on your stamps. And then just press gently, 1, 2, 3, and lift up. Don't smush it down on your paper either because you'll get ink everywhere that you don't want. So now, I love our inks because they are fast drying. I can actually go ahead and punch my sentiment. This is our tailored tag punch. This is one of my favorite punches because there's lots of different uses for it. I'm just going to center my sentiment and punch, and then I'm ready to go. And now I'm going to grab a couple dimensionals. We have these in large and small size for your various crafting needs. I'm going to put 2 here on the back. And then I will take my card, I'm going to make sure it opens the right way, and what I like to do is, before I stick it down, decide where I want to put my sentiment. Sometimes I'll put it on the bottom right, sometimes top left. You could put it smack dab in the center. I very often look at my designer series paper and see if there's an area that I want to leave open so you can see it, or if there's something I want to cover up. So I think for this card, I'm actually going to put it over here so that this yellow color comes through. And so I just position it there, kind of centered between these bottom 2 panels, and there's the front of my card already done. Next, I am going to take a piece of Whisper White. This is 5 1/4 by 4, same as this bumblebee panel, and put together the inside of my card. Now, in cutting my designer series paper, I have a couple of scraps. And I don't like to waste anything. I am a paper hoarder, a scrap hoarder, because I might need it one day. But I'm going to use these scraps of paper to accent the inside of my card. So I'm going to position them here at the top and the bottom, but first I'm going to stamp my inside, because if I goof up stamping, then I'll still be able to recover by flipping the paper over. So a little more Mossy Meadow ink on my sentiment. And there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and close my ink pad up so I don't get ink on anything I don't want. And I am not going to use adhesive tape runner on these strips because, if you can see, they're more narrow than my tape runner. So I'd have extra glue everywhere. And if I had a silicone mat handy, I could use that, but I don't have it handy at the moment. So I'm going to grab some liquid glue. This is our Tombow glue. Some people refer to it as green glue, since the bottle is green. And I am just going to hold the tip right against the paper and run a narrow strip of glue from end to end. And there is a fine tip on this glue as well as a wider, broad tip. So depending on what your crafting needs are, it's great. So now, all I'm going to do is pick these up and place them at the top of the card. Sometimes I'll do the strips so they run all the way across. These were already cut to the same size as my designer series paper panels, so they're a little bit shorter than the width of the insert, and that's just fine. I like the way they look. It's just a nice little pop of color instead of a plain white piece of paper. And so just like that, that glue is really ready to go. It dries fairly quickly. So a little bit more adhesive on my insert panel. I thought I was going to get away with the glue behaving, not quite. And now this gets centered in the card. And just like that, I have a beautiful card ready to go. And you can see, since I did these differently, how the cards look fine no matter where you put your sentiment. I even have another one here where the sentiment is up at the top. So it is up to you where you want to place your sentiment. You can even change up the shape. So I have some more samples to show you. I try to make a Christmas card each time that I demonstrate a card. And so I used another piece of this beautiful designer series paper, a different print, to make this Christmas card, kind of non-traditional colors with blue. But I goofed a little bit. When I cut my pieces, I cut my cardstock the right measurement, the 3 3/4 inches by 1.5. But when I cut my designer series paper, I looked at the measurement, said 3.5, and then I cut at 3 1/4. So when I went to put them together, I realized I had a little extra room. Now on this card, I left it as it was, and I simply have a little more border here on the sides of the panel, and that's okay. What I decided to do on the second card, though, was go ahead and trim a 1/4 inch off the Night of Navy panels to create that even border all the way around. It leaves me more of a border on the insert, the 5 1/4 by 4 piece, and I actually embossed on this using our Evergreen embossing folder. It's a little hard to see, so I'm not sure that I would do that with all my cards because I hate to emboss something beautifully and then cover it up. But again, two very different looks with the same style card. You can also change up the shape of your sentiment. Here I used our double oval punch and another beautiful piece of designer series paper and made this one a sympathy card. We have some beautiful new pansy paper coming. It's really nice with this card design because the designer series paper really does the talking on this card. You don't have to do a lot of work. And for this, I actually used the same paper and covered my envelope flap to give it a nice accent. And then I wanted to show you one more option. All the cards that I've showed you so far are in the vertical orientation, but you're not married to that. You can actually take your card and turn it sideways. Just mind how you cut your designer series paper. Cut it with the width and height this way. And you can use the same layout to get a beautifully designed card, whether it be vertically or horizontally. So again, here is another option, just showing you how the cards both look beautiful but very different with the ovals or the tailored tag. And what I did here, excuse me, was I took the lighter pale papaya, which is one of our new in colors, and stamped here, but I punched a second tailored tag in Misty Moonlight and cut it in half, and then I just layered it behind. So it just adds a little bit more dimension, a little bit more pop of color there. And then last but not least, one more set of 3, again in the horizontal orientation, just showing you the differences in the cards based on where you put the sentiment, perhaps your color of cardstock. So beautiful cards, regardless of how you put them together and which orientation you choose. So thank you so much for joining me for this triple rectangle card. I really hope you enjoyed this quick and easy card design. I'd love it if you would subscribe to this YouTube channel and catch all my future crafting videos. You can also hop over to Facebook and find me at The Faithful Stamper. I do videos there live twice a week. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Happy crafting.